Hello, dolls, darling. How are you doing? Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Kelly, how are you doing? So glad to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And before I get started now, I have a special guest coming who's waiting right now. So give me a couple seconds. But before I start, I want to say and do this for you all right here, right now. Let me give you the proper welcome.
Acknowledge me.
You have been acknowledged. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Let me turn this up just a little bit more. Okay, and let me do that again.
Acknowledge me.
There, you have been acknowledged. Thank you so much, Mickey G. How are you doing?
Acknowledge me.
Christina and Son, how are you doing?
Acknowledge me.
I'm getting ready to bring up a couple that I love watching. I want you guys also to check them out. I'm going to try to put the link in the description box. And without further ado, let's just bring them on in. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Psydkick Paranormal. Let me give them the proper welcome also. If it'll come in.
The price is right.
That's right. Oh, I really. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Want to give you the proper welcome. And everybody in the chat, there's Michael. Now, let me do this. I got to do this again. I got to do this one more time. Let me just get it down right there. And then this is for you also, Michael. Come on. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary Lynn Paff and Michael Gagliano, Psydkicks Paranormal. How are you both doing? I am so glad. First of all, I am so glad
I'm late to get you guys here.
got up here finally. And I know last time I asked you was like a short notice, but please forgive us.
Oh no, hey, we're good. We're here.
Yeah.
We made it.
And before I go on, let me say hello again to there's my son Cody. Hello, Cody. There's mom of an angel, Shelly. How are you doing? So glad to see you. Let me give you, of course, the proper welcome also, Shelly.
Acknowledge me.
You have been acknowledged.
Nice.
Thank you so much for being here. And okay, and I got to give you that acknowledgement too, Cody.
Acknowledge me.
There you go.
What up,
We
C
need to
Dizzle?
get- we need to get you guys some new shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to get you new shirts.
Pair with the normal.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, those look nice.
See, make sure you guys go by and check the merch too. These guys are so wonderful. We're gonna go ahead and get this show started and start off. First of all, what first sparked your interest in the paranormal?
Mike, I'll let you go with that.
Okay. Yeah. So, prostitutes.
Hey, there we go.
So ironically, it was, I want to tell you I had like some existential experience, but really it was a slow burn into opportunity. I'm a comedian by nature, and
Right.
I was at a crossroads with life.
Right.
I had the people I was doing, I had this comedy show on an internet TV radio station, and the owner had the audacity to just up and die. And and so obviously all the shows got canceled, everything was done, and I kind of didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost. And I had met Mary Lynn once before, and we had hit it off great. And I just happened to run into her again, and she mentions going to this she says, "Hey, I've got this like convention coming up in Tombstone,
Right.
South Dakota, which Tombstone, super haunted, right?"
Yes.
Well, I didn't know anything about the haunted part,
With
but
Deadwood.
I mean, not Tombstone, Deadwood, South
Deadwood.
Dakota. I'm sorry, they're basically the same place. Okay,
Yeah.
Well,
so
Tombstone is in Arizona, so not really. Semantics.
so yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'm gonna go down there. I'm gonna see what's going on. So I just pack up my stuff, and I just drive on down to South Dakota,
Mhm.
and I didn't know what to expect. I dressed as a Ghostbuster. Um, I wore a fake mustache so nobody knew who I was because I'm so famous, And
Right.
it was hilarious, and I had such an incredible time, and I was also dealing with the death of my father had just passed away very
Mhm.
unexpectedly. My grandfather had passed away unexpectedly. So I'm dealing with these two deaths, and then here's this opportunity to kind of delve into this whole other realm, this whole other dimension of life, right?
Mhm. Right.
Uh, and it blew my mind. The just especially the correlations with the positive energy side of everything. I thought maybe being a goofball would be would be not proactive. It would actually it would be a deterrent, but it turns out it's not. It's the exact opposite. Ghosts, things of that nature, they love it. They're attracted, they're intrigued. So
Mhm.
that's kind of what got me involved. Was Mary Ellen just told me, "Hey, come down," and that was when I decided that's kind of the avenue I wanted my comedy to go. And we started the podcast Psydkicks Paranormal, and then
Mhm.
that grew. That turned into the TV show Para with the Normal.
Mhm.
Um, and we still do our podcast. It's called Pair with the Abnormal now.
Right.
But now we've done a full season. We're getting ready to start filming season 2, and we've got a bunch of other projects on the horizon now. So I mean, it's incredible how it's grown.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. Before I go on, I want to say hello to Daryl Stanley. How are you doing?
What up, Daryl?
Acknowledge me.
And little Patty, how are you doing?
Acknowledge me.
How's Big Patty?
And Mary Lynn, how about you?
Well, I've been kind of in the paranormal since I was about 4 years old. Started, I was sitting outside petting a cat, and my mom, and I was talking to the lady, and my mom came out, asked me who I was talking to.
You was petting the
And
cat, your mom's?
my mother, yeah, she came out and was asking who I was talking to.
So you was petting your mom too?
No, I was petting my cat. I was petting a cat.
No, no, I'm sorry. I was just having fun with it
Oh,
because you had said I'm petting my cat and my mother. I'm like, oh, so you
no.
mom and cat?
I was petting the cat, and my mom came outside.
See, I pet cats and they kick me out of the strip club. It's ridiculous.
Well, you're petting the wrong cats.
And that reminds me, Christina and son have rolled in here, and I was looking right at it. Where is it at? Right here. Um, she said, "Oh my God, I was on the phone with my daughter. I put the volume up, and all I heard was prostitute."
Oh,
That's great.
that's funny.
So I'm sorry. Go right ahead there.
So my mom came out, and I was talking to the lady, and she asked me who I was talking to, and I told her, and she said, "Well, there's nobody there." And she started asking me, "What are you doing with your hands?" And so I said, "I'm petting the cat." She said, "It's not. There's nothing there." So I was only 4, but
Wow.
she was asking me the questions, and so I described what the lady looked like and what she was wearing. Well, we had just moved into this house a couple weeks earlier, and
Mhm.
across the street, the lady that used to live in the house had moved over there. And so she was the landlord. And so my mom went over and was talking to her and just kind of asked her about who lived here before. And so she told her. And then she happened to see the picture. They called me over and asked me if that was her. And I said, yes. Well, she had just passed away. That was why the mother had passed away and the daughter had moved across the street, which where her mother owned that house. So they rented the little one out and then the lady took the bigger one. So come to find out, it was her mother who was coming over to visit because her daughter was the same age as me. So now where the cat comes in, a week after the mom died, the cat had died.
And that was in the cradle with the silver spoon, right?
It was, yes.
The little boy blew on a man on the moon?
So that was my first experience. And that's where it just kind of started from there. I kind of let it sit for a little bit. I didn't do anything with it. And then once I moved out to Las Vegas, really got into it. And that's where I also met, like Mike said, we met at the radio station and pretty much hit it off. And just became friends after that. We didn't talk for a little bit just because he got busy, I got busy. And then he reached out to me for something and I was like, oh, by the way, do you want to go? And that's where we kind of started back up and here we are.
Now, before I go, Pam Syme, how are you doing, ma'am?
Acknowledge me.
Now, tell me about, both of y'all, tell me your most unforgettable paranormal experience.
Not my favorite.
Or do you have one?
I'm sorry. I happen to get these chocolate covered pretzel Oreos. I am blown away by how delicious they are, and I was in the moment. So tell me, please repeat that question.
Oh no, I was just asking if you could tell me your most unforgettable paranormal experience.
Honestly, these Oreos right now.
That is
okay. Unforgettable.
Unforgettable. That's what you are.
We've been to some pretty cool places. And I've seen some pretty cool things, but I would have to say one of the most unforgettable experiences actually took place at the Washoe Club in Virginia City. And we weren't actually there to film. We were there as guests for a convention. And I was upstairs on the second floor of the Washoe Club, and we were having a kind of a little bit of a get together. And I was staring down the hallway, and now there's no lights. There's virtually no power. There's no power in all of the Washoe Club. I don't know if you guys have been there or not, but
no,
it's amazing. The owner's name is Scott Burrell. He's just a phenomenal guy. So definitely check it out. Find it on Facebook, the Old Washoe Club. I looked down and I saw just the dark shadows, which is normal, but it's the first time I actually saw something in the shadow move.
Oh.
And I've never I've heard voices. I've had some really incredible Estes methods that have been just wild. I've had my zipper rip off of my pants, and this was at a brothel.
Was it a succubus?
I was trying to suck something. I've had some incredible things, but I think that was the first time there at the Washoe Club that it was so unexpected that it was hard, and it was so hard for me to explain because it definitely looked humanesque, but it obviously wasn't.
Right.
And it was enough for me to go, I don't think I want to go down that way.
So Mike has a tendency of when we're doing investigations and stuff, he likes to kind of go off and hide by himself and just experience it. So that's why he said he didn't want to go down there. He didn't have anybody to go with and nobody to to protect him.
Yeah, so a lot of times I like to go into these locations and I like to kind of take time by myself and kind of immerse, I guess, in the location. It's a weird, like, I guess you would call it like what do they call it? Method acting, in a way, where like you kind of try to understand and emulate what's happening in that environment.
Right.
I love to do that when I go to these places.
Yes. Yes. Same here.
Agree, because I feel like when there's more people than they, in a place, it tends to overwhelm the place. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you get more activity when less people are there because they feel less overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I guess in a way, it's very possible that if you consider your consciousness, if you think of the other side as like a blanket, right? And you think
Right.
of your consciousness as a dime,
Mm-hmm.
right, to a giant blanket, it's a lot easier for that dime to get pushed through than a bunch of consciousnesses put together, which would create, a $50.
Right.
You have much better chance, or maybe yours is more like attack. And when you get a bunch together, it goes from attack to, a penny. So it grows. And so that ability to puncture through,
Mhm.
could also lessen based on the amount of, energy that is just kind of in the way, acting as like a buffer for all we know. Who knows?
Right. Like little Patty just said, get a feel for the place.
Exactly. I
So
love to get a feel for the place. I love to see what that energy leads me to
mhm.
do, right?
Right.
Most places, I'm a pretty mischievous guy. So in most places, I try to
Don't
embrace
say.
that, right? Uh, but and it'll kind of, and I use the location kind of as a motivation,
Right.
as to what I want to do, when we go to film, how I want it to look,
Mhm.
certain things maybe that we want to have happen.
Right.
It just kind of depends on the location sometimes. Because a lot of times, we'll get to a spot, we have no idea what we're going to do when we go filming, and then, the muse hits.
Yeah, because I learned from the Clinch brothers years ago. One of the things that we like to do when we do, well, see, let me clear something though. I don't like to call ourselves paranormal investigators because we have three boys, of course, with special needs.
Yeah.
And so they come with us, So with that being said, when we go to a place or even a cemetery, we get a feel for the surrounding first.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the Clinch brothers told me, Brad and Barry, they taught me was use your natural senses first.
Yep.
Your ears, sight, sound, and sometimes taste, and I say sometimes taste because you might get a bad taste in your mouth, especially when you're in a cemetery. And that could be that there's something there. You
Yeah.
you not see that energy, but you'll feel that energy, whether it's in your body or you might taste it. So go by your natural senses first. Hello,
Ears, nose, and throat, right?
right. And hello, Steph, and hello, Diane.
Acknowledge me.
Didn't want to try to do mischief. So let me ask you this. What do you think most people understand? Actually want to say misunderstood about paranormal investigations? Because people, I don't know, I've watched a lot of paranormal shows, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's, amateur paranormal investigators, and sometimes they have a misconception, So
There's a lot of those.
right, and there's a lot. So, what is misunderstood about paranormal investigations?
Well, I think you hit the key word there was amateur people going in, and everybody is an amateur at one point. So you
Right.
don't have to be afraid to go in. And it's like there's a lot of people who don't want to get it started or go do it by themselves or want a big group because
Mhm.
they're afraid of what's there. So that's where we try to make it to where you don't have to be afraid. So Mike is really pushes that comedy part of it because it makes everybody laugh. It makes everybody relax. And
Right.
you don't have to go in and try to yell and antagonize. And that's where a lot of people, I think the misconception is they're not going to respond unless you're being antagonistic, and that's not true.
Right, because that's one thing I've always told people when we do our spirit box sessions, we always let the spirits know that we're here out of love and respect, and we mean no disrespect to you. Because you got to remember, spirits were people at one place or time, so you got to treat them as if they were still here because they are, just not in physical form.
Right.
And so we treat them with the utmost respect. When you leave this earth, the way you were in life, you're going to be the same way in death. That's just my own theory.
Yep.
So if you were mean and hateful and nasty in life, you're going to be the same way in death, which is why you'll get those negative responses and stuff like that. I've gotten a lot of them, but if you're really nice and, kind and sweet in life, you're going to be the same way in death because, again, we've gotten those kind of responses too. Greg Ogle, how are you doing there, sir?
Greg,
Acknowledge me.
And
I would
that's where
say-
you're saying that they're coming in and having that, just being mean on the other side. But
Right.
what's to say that they really are a good, and they were a good person here before they passed, but because they've had so many people coming in and just antagonizing them, they're already just frustrated. So when you come in, they're expecting that. So that's what they already start responding to.
Right, because they feel your energy.
Yes.
They
And
gotta
I would say another thing that is a big misunderstanding is that the afterlife and death in general is a tragedy, right? And it's really not. It's different for everyone, right? So when you go into a location and you focus on the tragic, guess what? That's the type of experience and impulses you're going to create,
Right.
right? And if you look at your own timeline, right? Your death is literally going to be merely a blip, right?
Right.
Even if it's you get hit by a bus and you die, that's still going to be this little blip of tragedy. But that's not exactly how you want to be remembered, is it?
Right.
It's not, right? You want to be remembered for everything else that happened. And that's a lot of times what I try to tell people, that's what you want to bring up is just all these. What about the rest of their life? Right. What if they're dead and they're content? What if they're just hanging around because you know what? They like the area. They liked life. They liked what it was like. They don't want to forget what it was like.
Right. Which is why you have some of them residual.
Absolutely.
They continue doing what they're doing, whether you're there or not. This is because they feel like they have unfinished business.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I try to tell people as well that comedy is like the other side of a pendulum, right? So on one side you've got tragedy, you've got despair, and on the opposite side is where you've got that positivity, you've got comedy. And I firmly believe that comedy is born through tragedy, and I think that's why comedy does so well with the paranormal and with the undead, I guess. And by comedy, I don't mean. I think that's the other misunderstanding with comedy is that they think that has to do with either antagonizing, making fun of, because unfortunately that's what a lot of the comedy is right now. Is it's meant to trigger and not meant to make you laugh. A lot of that stuff is it's different now. Comedy is kind of taking it on a different role in some places, but it doesn't have to be that way, especially with the paranormal.
Right. It doesn't. It really doesn't. So do you believe that more people are sensitive to the paranormal than others? I mean, there's some that are, very sensitive to for an example, our son Manny. Okay. We know when there's something near us because Manny can see things that we can't. Okay, because you got to remember he's not only autistic, he's nonverbal.
Right.
And but besides having epilepsy,
children with
that,
special needs anyway
Yeah.
are pure.
well, see, but he's not a child. He's
They're
an
a child,
adult.
but their mind is
But
a
they
child.
know the spirits know that he's number one an adult, but number two, I think they know that he sees them and nobody else can, and so they connect with him.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
where, for me, it's like children, everybody has abilities. It's just the kind of the belief system. And if you kind of push that, or if you push it down and tell them, no, you're not seeing anything, things like that, and you're not supporting them and you're making them feel bad if they say they've seen something, then that's kind of, they shut down. So everybody has their own way of opening up. And like I told Mike, the more you're in the paranormal, the more you're doing the investigations and just meeting the different people, the more you open up. And
Right.
that's to where your senses, you start focusing more on something, and you're going to start feeling that. And that's where Mike is actually opening up too. And it's
Sure.
like every time we're driving, he's like, there's a cemetery. And usually within a mile or two, there's a cemetery. So he's starting to feel that.
Right.
And it's the more you're into it, it's kind of like practice makes perfect. Nobody's perfect, but keep practicing and you get better at it. And that's even with the abilities and being able to see things and find things. The more you do it, the more you practice, the more you're going to be able to see.
Yeah,
And
I mean, we all got nipples, just not all of them make milk. You know,
Right.
it's
Right.
the same. It's the same thing.
Mine does.
Well, there you go. You're sensitive.
milk. I make chocolate milk.
Boom. Delish.
No, I wish I did. Spirit Stalker, how are you doing? Thank you for being here.
Acknowledge me.
And Janet Sarlo and Greg's Inferno Exploring, thank you so much for being here.
Acknowledge me.
And of course, Greg Ogle, I have to say hello again to you.
Acknowledge me.
And I have another question for you. How do you guys prepare for an investigation?
Mike, you want to take that?
For me, it's a lot of snacks. I have to eat. I have to eat before. I have to eat after. I have to eat during. So that's I have to be fueled up because if I'm not, and if I'm not properly fueled, and if I'm too tired, then I won't pick up on anything, and then I feel like it's a missed opportunity because I'm not. Yeah, I'm not in my zone, you know.
Right.
So that's how I prepare. Marilyn, the way she prepares is very different.
Well, for me, the first thing I have to prepare for is to know or figure out what I'm going to do with Mike, because I have to follow him around. And because when we do our shows, it's not in our investigations, it's not scripted. So it's just everything is natural as we're going through. And for me, the preparation is mentally, I do my grounding so that way I'm protected. And what Mike doesn't realize, I also put protection around him as well. So whoever is going on the investigation with us, it's just everybody has that energy and, just being able to see, being open, but not allowing anything to go home with us. So that is something, the protection, you have to leave all of that behind when you leave.
Have you ever felt, scared or threatened during an encounter?
One time I did. I was investigating a house with a friend of mine, and she had told me that she kept seeing shadows and stuff like that. Well, she had a mirror in the hallway. And so they're in the bedroom and they're filming, and I'm looking at the mirror and it's dark, but I'm telling everybody what I'm seeing in the mirror is, a forest, trees, and just all the stuff that's there. Well, she told me that her mother-in-law has the sister mirror and she's in South Carolina. And what I was describing was her mirror was facing outside to the forest that's out in her backyard. So
Wow.
I'm seeing that, and then I'm seeing something run back and forth, and then all of a sudden, I describe it like a gnome. This thing comes running through the mirror, jumped out, and tried to push me down the stairs and just disappeared.
That was Bradley Cooper. That's who that was.
Wow.
So that's the only time that I wasn't scared, but it startled me because I was not expecting that at all.
Wow. And Regina, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here. Thank you for
Acknowledge me.
And Jason Finch, thank you so much for being here.
Acknowledge me.
How about you, Mike?
So on an investigation, no, but I have been seriously concerned from something. When I was 18, I actually, in a younger life, I did music. And we had just finished recording. It was like 2 a.m. Me, my 2 buddies, we went to Jack in the Box. We got our food and we decided to stop at this park to eat. And, we get out and we're enjoying our food. And the next thing you know, we're swinging on the swings. We're laughing, giggling, having a good time. And then we realize that we're laughing and giggling and having a good time. And that's really weird. So that was kind of when we started to realize, we started to feel like something was up, right? So then we started walking the park. So we leave the actual playground and we go into the grass area. Now the grass area was massive because they would use it to do soccer games, and like they could have like 6 soccer games going at once. It's huge. So we start walking, and as we walk, we make it probably like a 1/6 of the way through, or a quarter, like a quarter of the way. Right. And then all of a sudden, all the sprinklers come on behind us. And we're like, oh, that's weird. But we keep walking. It's no big deal. We keep walking. We walk. We get about halfway. Those sprinklers go off. Sprinklers right behind us come on. Now, at this point, we're like, something doesn't feel right. Right? Something's not adding up. So we said, you know what? That's it. We're gonna turn around and we're gonna go back. The second we decided to turn around and go back, every single sprinkler in the location came on. At which point, one of the youngest of the 3 of us, he said he saw something through the mist of water, something that he could only describe as a person on stilts, is the best way he could describe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Slender
and then
Man.
What's that?
That's usually Slender Man is what they refer to it.
Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff, but yeah, that's what he's described as. And we left, right? We get in his car, we get my buddy's car, we leave, none of us say a thing. We get to my buddy's house, it's like 3 a.m. We get out. As we're walking down the driveway, his sprinklers come on. It's 3 a.m. There's absolutely no reason. Those sprinklers have never come on before. Super weird. We get inside, we all try to go to sleep. The TV turns off and on, doors get slammed, the air conditioning shuts off, turns back on, shuts off, turns back on. This closet, not closet, what do they call them? Cabinets open and close in the kitchen. It was nobody's got any good sleep. So we wake up. This is now, it's like, I don't know, noon, 1 o'clock. And we've decided it was too weird. We have to go back to the park, and we've got to, like, I don't know, do something. So we leave. As we walk back down to get to my buddy's car, my buddy's sprinklers come on again. They were just on, man. I can't explain that. We get in the car, we get back to the park. We literally just sit in the car for probably an hour, just staring at the park. Neither one of us wanting to move. And finally, we're like, you know what? This is stupid. We get out of the car and we walk to the park, but we don't step on the grass. We literally get to the sidewalk, and we just kind of start walking along the grass, right? And we're walking along it. We're walking along it because we're just waiting. We're just trying to see what's going to happen. And finally, we're like, okay, we're being silly. We're being dumb. We're grown ass man. So we need to handle our business. So I step one goddamn foot onto the grass at this park, and all the fucking sprinklers come on in the middle of the day.
Wow.
I've never ran so fast, bro. I lost both my shoes. Okay. I put a dent in my buddy's car. I hit it so hard. Okay. But you know what? After, it was like whatever it was that was with us, it's like we dropped it off, and we never had that problem since.
That's crazy. And you know what? I want to read something that Greg put up. He said on an episode that he filmed with you, you had 3 cameras
Yes.
on mic, and there was an orb at the tree line just hanging out. All they had to do was turn the cameras around.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah. But because of the nature of the beast, the nature of our show, we couldn't really do that because it's not, in a way, it is what our show is about, but it's also not. It's
Right.
this weird amalgamation of both hunting and experiencing, and also just our journey.
Right.
And at that point, we were filming. If it's where I think it is, I think that was the scene. I don't know if you had a chance to watch our show yet.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
But now I want to.
Yeah, I think we'll.
The tent scene is what he's talking about.
Yeah, this is what I thought. The tent scene. I'll make sure to send you a code, guys. I think I may have, but I'll try to resend it if I didn't.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, and we're filming this tent scene. This will be in episode 4 in Alabama, right?
Now,
yeah, Alabama.
Now it sounds like you're talking about porn.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a tent scene, and we're trying to film this tent scene, and that's when like all this activity was going on. But what I do, it's not something that can be like redone. So everything just had to keep rolling and had to keep rolling on me, unfortunately. But yeah, stuff like that happens on our show all the time. Like we catch something all the time.
I'd like to go and investigate with you.
Oh, you'd have a blast.
We could call ourselves like day and night investigations.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yin and yang.
We'll be
cookies and cream, baby.
Yeah, I'll be Mr. Day, you be Mr. Night. We're like
that's it.
Chaos and mayhem. We're a double act.
That's it. I love it.
What's the most convincing piece of evidence you've personally witnessed or captured? Basically, you've already told me. It seems like.
Well,
right?
I mean, honestly, we've captured some pretty incredible stuff. I will say the most compelling is probably actually in a premium episode, the mine episode. We did a mine tour. It's just a tour, not even an investigation.
Mm-hmm. They wouldn't allow investigations.
Yeah, they don't allow investigations. So we literally went in there just to do a tour and to film us taking this tour. Right. And we actually caught voices talking to us through the tour.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, and we had no idea this happened while we were filming. But Mary Lynn, she did the editing for that episode, and she was like, Mike, you have to check this out. This is insane. And then we'll show you in that episode. It's called Haunted Travels. It's in a Para with the Normal Outtakes, Haunted Travels, and it's a 30-minute episode of us doing a Virginia City mine tour. It's pretty awesome, very funny.
Let's just say it's Mike's version of the mine tour.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I want to welcome Michelle here and Danny off the grid and Everyday Treasures. Thank you so much for being here. How do you debunk or rule out natural explanations or phenomena? Because one of the things we do when we do a spirit box session, like we had an incident happen. You'd have to watch our last video that we just put out, and it happened in our house. And one of the things we always try to do is debunk. I don't like calling anything haunted or paranormal until we really can't figure it out. And I still have a hard time saying that it's haunted or paranormal. I just, there has to be a reason for everything. Just like there has to be a reason why your camera follows you around everywhere you go, Mike.
I know. It's crazy that it does that. I'm on an iPad and it's got like this technology that's incredible. I don't know how it's doing that.
That's why I pay attention to detail. That shows you right.
He does.
So look, this is what I'm going to say, and I'll let Mary Lynn finish it off. But when it comes to debunking, I'll do your basic precursory look through, and then after that, I really don't care, because at the end of the day, it's not for anybody else. It's for me, right? And if I felt like I had a great experience and a great time, or you felt like you had a great experience or a great time, and you love the fact that it stays unexplainable, keep it that way.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% on that. I guess that about sums that up right there.
But
Well,
Mary
for
Lynn may
me-
have a different.
Yeah, I do. And for me, it's even though I'm a psychic medium, I look for what could have caused that. So if I hear something, I'm one of the first people to go down and investigate to look and see what made that noise. Was it wind? Was it the air conditioner? There has to be something that made that noise. And we go through everything that we can. We don't find anything. It's like, well, I think we caught something. Then we look at our footage, and just match that time. So if we have multiple cameras going or, doing our EVPs and just kind of matching that up, looking at the times, just I try to debunk before I just completely accept.
I look at the whole debunking thing kind of like politics. If you continue to dig and dig and dig, you'll eventually find some reason,
Yeah.
right, to argue against it, right?
Right.
So I would think just stay within reason, because I know people that they go overboard with trying to debunk and be a skeptic, and you're literally sucking your own joy out of why you're doing this. I understand you want to just make sure you want to be pure that you have this experience, man. Nothing is ever pure in life except for cocaine from Colombia. Okay, so you just gotta take what you get and just appreciate it.
Well, and that's what I can tell you. I went to an investigation with a group to Trans-Allegheny.
Nobody asked you, Mary Lynn. Okay.
Okay, fine. And we were in one of the rooms, and one of the girls kept hearing screaming, and it's like they kept saying that in this room is when a person was killed. It's that person screaming, and it's like, but it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like it's coming from outside. So we actually go outside, and come to find out, there's a bar that's a couple streets over, and they were having karaoke night. So you were hearing someone singing, and it sounded like they were screaming.
See, and I think that's where, just use that intuition.
Yes.
Right? Like you will intuitively, your gut will tell you whether or not you need to pull that thread of debunking, or you need to embrace the idea that you've just had an encounter.
Yep. Yes. Well, and that's where you're saying you have that feeling is like, as a psychic medium, when you're trying to debunk, you have to use those intuitions. And what are your guides telling you? And, is like, here, look. And so it's something that not everything is going to be debunked.
Yeah, and my guides usually tell me you didn't wipe good enough.
Oh, you missed your snack time.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, everybody in the chat, if you have a question for them, please feel free to ask. They're right here at your disposal.
Yeah,
no,
and
not disposal, but.
And feel free to check out our show. It is on Beacon TV. You can go to streambeacontv.com. Right now, the very first 3 episodes are completely free. You don't even need to sign up. You can literally just turn it on and watch. And if you like it, then please consider a subscription. And if you do the annual, you could use code Paranorm10 and get 10% off. And right now, a full annual membership is only like $75. And that comes with a bunch of extra perks too. And with 10% off, it's not a ton, but hey, it's something. And you'll get
all kinds of shows on there, not just Para with the Normal. So you've got true crime, you've got paranormal, you've got, what else is there? All kinds of stuff that they keep adding almost every day.
Documentaries, Bigfoot movies. You also have the Holzer Files. If you're a big fan of the Holzer Files, they've got the new season of Holzer Files that's going to be released on Beacon TV. They're calling it Paranormal Mysteries. So the same cast is back. So a lot of the great shows that you love that have disappeared, guess where they're going? They're going to Beacon TV.
And you're right. That's why I said we have to get Beacon TV. Yeah. Danny Off Grid said, I'm not a medium. I'm an extra large.
I used to be.
We prefer the term venti.
There you go.
Dolls Dolly said, I want to know if they bought any cookies yet. Yay, I already know they forgot. Oh, there they are.
His cookies.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm about to blow your mind. Are you ready? I always have cookies.
Yeah, because when we take a trip, he will go every stop and go and buy a bag of goodies and put it in the bag. He'll eat 1 or 2. The rest of it stay there. So we'll take it into the hotel. And then by the time I come home, I have this cabinet full of goodies that Mike has left behind because he can't eat it all.
Yeah, I have a legitimate problem. I have this. It's like I have a snack hoarding thing, and actually right now, I guarantee you, if you were to go to the Hoover House in Gettysburg, they probably still have snacks hidden all over that house. Because I hid snacks everywhere in that house because we were there for a while, and I never went back to pick them up, so I know they're still there.
Everyday Treasure said, "Now you can catch me on Para OnlyFans."
Yeah.
Oh,
Dawes always said, "Oh my, now that is what I am talking about." Do you think spirits are aware of our presence when we investigate? I think they do. I think they're aware.
the ones that are active, yes. The ones that are residual, no.
Well, and I'm going to take that a step further. I think there are ones that can be active that are so distraught or
Right.
have so much just maybe mental issues. You know what I mean? But for example, if you go to like an insane asylum where they were notorious for having, some that had truly had mental issues, how
Yeah.
are they to know the difference between life or death? Right. I think those are the questions. So how do they know the difference between transitioning and not? How do they know the difference between heaven or hell? How can they tell the difference between it's time for me to move on or I'm stuck in a loop? And they're all, I think there are entities that cannot truly tell the difference or tell those things apart. And that's actually, to me, that is the most heartbreaking of all the entities you could run into, are the ones that just can't get out of their own way.
Yep.
I agree with you on that. Yeah, that's heartbreaking. It really is. And we touched on this earlier. We were talking about residual. What's your take on residual versus intellectual hauntings?
For me, the residual is where you see a shadow or something that goes by every day or every night about the same time, or you hear this sound every night at the same time, but there's no activity around that. There's no responses if you do an investigation. To me, that's the residual part of it. And it's like with them walking, is like, well, I see him walking through a wall. Well, was your house remodeled and it used to be a door there? So that's why they're going through the wall instead, because that was their trail or their pathway of going through a home or a building. So that's my take on it.
I also think, like, if you ever do like an Estes method and you start getting the same similar answers, run, I'm dead, John, you start getting those and they kind of repeat. I think that's where you're starting to pick up some type of residual psychic effect. Yeah. And I look at a lot of those ghostly interactions, a lot of the paranormal interactions kind of as a tidal effect. Right. Where you could have a lot of action and then it'll just kind of slowly recede until it builds back up, and then it'll kind of repeat itself in its motion. So means you could go to a place like a plantation and you could catch some, a lady in black, somebody hanging, you can somebody getting hit by a switch or whatever, and then the next person can come in and get nothing. Right. And then the next person comes in and then they get the exact same things. Right. And they could get completely different. So those next people could come in and get something completely different. It could be a guy humping a goat in a banana suit. Like, you don't know, right? because there are layers to this thing, right? And we also have to we always want to look at time linear, and that's true, but time is also layered. Right. So when you talk about an event that's happened at like a haunted location, that actual plot of land has been there for millions upon millions of years. Right. And has probably had a ton of different types of interactions in this exact same spot. Right. So you don't know what you're truly going to pick up on in that area.
Yep.
That's very true. Have you ever encountered any non-human entities?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that was one of our, when we went down to Yorktown, that was our second episode. And when we do the filming, I go in with no knowledge of the location of what's happened there. But as soon as I pull up, I looked up and I see a entity that's out on the top. And for me, I saw him as an elemental. He's there protecting the building. So it is like I was hearing a woman crying over here and just all the different stuff. But yes, elementals, there's fairies out there. Like I said, the gnome rushing through the mirror. There's all kinds of stuff out there.
Ducks.
Ducks and goats and
But yeah, but even Bigfoot, we just had we were on a show yesterday where we were debating, Bigfoot, and if Bigfoot itself, if there's multiple types of species of Bigfoot, right?
That's something I'm learning too. Yes, because I'm really starting to get into the cryptids.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, are we always seeing like the same type of Bigfoot? But that couldn't be the case, right? Because you've got some that are like way up north and they're white, and then the ones here are brown. I mean, so who knows how many different types of species you could, could there be a species that's similar to like a baboon, right? To where, you see them, they're running at you and their whole genital area is just perfectly shaved. There's just no hair, right? And there's just this giant flopping naked mole rat, coming at you. And you're like, oh my God, that's a North American Bigfoot, that's a rare sighting.
Yeah, he could be sitting down eating a Jack Slinks.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, so I think that shows, or is a Bigfoot, and do they only portray? What if a Bigfoot looks nothing like what an actual Bigfoot is?
Yeah, what if one was actually a
shapeshifter?
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe it's not even a shapeshifter. What if it only takes the shape that you want to see?
Right.
But this doesn't look like that. In other words, it's an illusion. It's a glamour.
It could be like the size of my wife and have like a size 15.
Right. I mean,
only 4 feet tall.
Right. I mean, so there's that, but I think that's the fun, wonderful side of the paranormal, is the fact that we get to have these type of conversations and discussions because we don't truly know. And I think if we ever get to the point where we do, in fact, possess that knowledge, I don't think anyone will like that outcome in the end.
Well, I think we're going to have a big letdown if we actually find out a lot of stuff, and it's something that there's so many different versions, many different people's opinions on things. It's like, it's just going to cause, we don't want to find, we want to find answers, but we don't really. Well, we want to find answers, but we don't want to find the end of it.
Right.
Everyday Treasure said, Bigfoot is a tall, skinny white guy.
Right? For all we know, Bigfoot's just Larry Bird. Like, we don't know.
That might be Bigfoot. I mean, he's bigger than me.
Yeah, he just hasn't shaved in a while.
Yeah, just haven't shaved in a while. Him and Michael, Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson.
Christina and Son said there's multiple species. I've seen a few different kinds. Like, they look the same, but not like gorillas. There's at least 5 different species of gorillas. I think it's the same with them.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think
that's a shorter one, and he's just a hobbit.
Yeah. Right. Look at how many different types of bears there are too, right? There's different types of bears, and how do we know they're not more akin to bears than gorillas? And Bigfoot doesn't have 6 nipples instead of 2. Like, we don't know.
And even Greg Oggle said E.T.'s real name is Chad.
It could very well be Chad Vanderland. We don't
know. What locations do you believe are the most active, and why? That's something to think about.
Most active haunted locations.
Yes.
I'm so new. It's hard for me to tell you where I think is like the most active.
Well, for me, it's hospitals, insane asylums, and stuff like that. It's where all of the, the agony and all that stuff coming through. And it's like, we did a investigation in Baton Rouge at the women's hospital, and that's where they were coming in giving birth, but they had cancer and they had people dying. And so you have your happy moments, but there's more of the sad moments than anything. So that's kind of, for me, that's where I've seen the most active it could be different for somebody else. I think it's what you also draw to you as far as the activity goes.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can agree with that right there. Have you ever noticed a change in the paranormal activity over time, like during certain events, like a lunar eclipse or a tragedy, or a thunderstorm? Have you ever noticed a shift?
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Especially weather. In fact, I don't know that we've been able to film an episode that hasn't rained.
At least, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. So it's pretty wild. Anywhere we go, it tends to rain, and rain definitely does play a factor in amping up. It's like it acts like a conduit is the best way I could describe it.
It amps up energy, especially a thunderstorm.
Well, you
Yeah.
can just feel the electricity in the air, and that's feeding them that energy, and that makes it to where it's more activity because they're getting that energy, but they're also getting energy from you as well.
Yeah, and I feel like we as humans, we can use water as conductors. Unless you're Diddy, then it's baby oil. Yeah.
That's true. Have you ever brought anything home from an investigation, intentionally or not?
I haven't brought it home. Oh, sorry. I haven't brought anything
As
home
far
from
as
an
candy or
investigation.
no?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
monster would be candy.
Yeah, I bring home candy, but like an entity or anything, just other than that one time I described to you, but obviously we weren't at an investigation. But I've never had anything follow me home from an investigation. What about you, Marilyn?
No, because I do my protections and I don't allow them because it's all in the intent. If you are not protected and you just kind of go willy-nilly about it, and because it's my intent that you are not allowed to come with me, it's not allowed. So
And I'm like a big annoying beacon, nobody wants to stick to this for too long. I would drive them nuts.
That's me right there. We had a friend of ours that used to live with us. His name is John. He has a channel called The Storm Chasing Guy because he's a storm chaser. But before that, he was into the paranormal, and I wanted to do something with him where he would do his storm chasing while I would seek out the paranormal, and
Yeah.
we call ourselves paranormal storm chasers. You know,
Yeah.
I still think that would be dope, man. I think it would be crazy
Yeah.
because we would only go out during, if there's a tornado or something like that, and he's storm chasing while I'm trying to do the paranormal and at a cemetery. That would be great. What do you think? You think I'm crazy, don't you?
Yeah.
I would go with it. I would do it.
Yeah. I'm working on something very similar to that right now, in fact.
He thinks I'm two sandwiches short of a picnic, but I tell you, I think that would really work. Christina said, I've been doing it for a good 8 years now, and I find the most active places are the places no one knows about. I went to a tennis court so active, I asked what was there before. It was a slave house.
Wow. There you go.
And we've done that. As a matter of fact, we did a video where remember when we went to it was a cemetery, but nobody knew it because it was in a neighborhood. And somebody had just discovered it. So, and we have it on the video where these people actually let us go in to do a spirit box session.
We were
got
drawn
great
to it.
evidence. We were
Wow.
drawn to this place.
And it turned out to be a slave cemetery from a long time ago that
Yes.
was never discovered. And then they finally, these owners were doing something there, and they realized, like excavating, and they realized there were graves there.
Yeah, they
Wow.
coffins.
So they had to go back in through the archives, through the land deeds, and they found out it used to be a slave cemetery.
And
So
and the people that was doing the excavating, they let us come in.
That's cool.
That
is
was
cool.
really cool because
Granted, they allowed no more.
they was gonna say no, and they thought we was crazy. But I told them, hey, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a paranormal investigator. I'm a paranormal enthusiast. But I heard that this place was a little bit active. Do you think we can come in and just see what we can get? And they was like, sure, come on in. I
And
thought
yep,
he thought
I
maybe
would-
we asked some crack rocks or something like that. Picking up little rocks and Anybody want to talk to me tonight? Anybody
Yeah,
got
locations that have not been investigated, and it's to me, it's also when you come in there, it's like you can see me, or I can talk finally. That's where you do get a lot of interaction with that, but it's really hard finding the places that have not been investigated at least once or twice.
I feel like I don't know, my favorite thing is the older cemeteries. I feel like they
Sure.
get neglected, they're lonely, they're sad because no one visits them anymore. And I feel like those bring on a lot of energy because there's no one there to show them, that they're still cared about.
So I'll give them a sense of direction. Now, I feel like this. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Every
See, I
day.
like to go to those older cemeteries. I like to sit down behind one of the tombstones
Mhm.
and just listen. And I'll wait, let other people start showing up, middle of the night, and then I'll start eating my potato chips.
They don't know he's there.
I have no idea I'm there. And just let chaos ensue. And that creates a lot of energy, trust me.
Everyday Treasure said, bro, I will be completely honest. We investigated a cemetery that we had it was a slave cemetery outside the fence. It was so bad we stayed in the slave section. Would that be called Section 8?
Yes.
I'll play it
That
now.
was
That's how I see it.
Exactly.
Section 8 gonna be gone pretty soon. So.
Yep. Welfare my ass, right?
So on that note, how can I put this? How has working in the paranormal changed your world view?
Go ahead,
For me,
Marilyn.
it hasn't changed. Go ahead,
Nope.
Mike.
Well,
No.
I mean, for me, it has. There's a difference between perception and perspective, and I will say the field of paranormal,
Mhm.
while allowing you to understand your own perception, it gives you a completely different perspective on life, perspective on emotion, a perspective on how to convey your
Mhm.
communications. So I will say it's done a lot to allow me just to think from a different perspective.
I would really like to do a series with you, Michael. Where
Yeah.
we go out
You guys
together.
would be funny because he's a comedian.
Because one of the things I like to do is I like to turn lights off and ask people, can they see me smiling?
Right.
Because I just like to joke myself. I myself at one time had myself in comedy, so that's why I love connecting with comedians.
Yeah.
I'm just a comedian without a stage now, but I also used to be a musician and I used to work for Warner Brothers, so I do have some musical history with me.
Look at that. Yeah, and comedy is especially when you are doing a paranormal investigation, if you get a chance to ever investigate with me, while I am an absolute riot, there are times where you can feel the energy kind of move and flow, and the comedy will kind of come and go depending on
Right.
what's going on. If it gets heavy, that's where some of the comedy might dissipate, and more raw emotion comes up, right? So that's what I love the most, because I feel like the paranormal really can accentuate what you do comedically.
Right.
It gives you a big range.
Absolutely. Great. Yeah, it does. It can give you a great range.
I was reading in the chat, Mama of an Angel said, Eddie, white people glow in the dark.
Well, yeah, ask any Russian from Chernobyl.
Everyday Treasure said, Eddie, you are going to be in trouble, sir. We can see your eyes too.
We can see your eyes too.
Well, with me working with Mike, so for me, it's like always, I've always been very serious and
Uh-huh.
wanted people to look at me like, that I wasn't a joke, that I wasn't taking it as a joke. But the way he does the comedy makes
Right.
me realize, hey, I can have fun too. I don't have to be that serious. Yes, I have my serious moments, but I'm starting to lighten up. And like I said, I never know what Mike is going to do. So it's just however reacting to that. But he's given me a different perspective on just the comedy and being able to have
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah, see, we could work together and work with another paranormal group. That way, when they say, "Hey, I see a shadow person," Mike can say, "No, that's just Eddie."
That's it. That's just black. That's black licorice. The adventures. The
Yep,
adventures of black licorice and mayonnaise.
that's right. I tell him my bad. I know, I know y'all was looking over here. Here, I'm
This
food.
the 7-Eleven will think they have a poltergeist. Like, nah, that's just Eddie. He's stealing.
Now, here's another question. What's the misconception about what you do?
Do you mean like my wife?
You got a wife?
I do, yeah.
Wow, where'd you get yours at? No, I'm joking.
Yeah, Costco.
Mine came from Walmart. She was on sale.
Tell me your question again.
Um, I forgot the question. Oh, okay. What's the biggest misconception about what you do?
That it's for me is that it's going to be antagonistic and rude. Honestly, that is the biggest misconception on what I do.
Oh, really?
Comedically.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. They
Okay.
always, we've literally been denied entry into locations because they're afraid that because I say comedy, that it means that we're going to make fun of it. But all of my comedy is introspective. It's about me. It's about my journey, not
Right.
about making fun of the location, about making fun of the ghosts. You still have to
Right.
maintain that respect.
Right.
But when people hear comedy, that's tends to be where their mind goes, as they go towards that Louis C.K. They go towards
Mhm.
that just that
Yeah,
meaner.
they think the total opposite.
They think
You
rude
know.
and disrespectful, but when you're actually not being rude and disrespectful, they were humans at one time and they like comedy and they like
Absolutely.
That's what I tell people. I tell people all the time because there's times that I'll tell a joke, to a spirit, and we'll get like a ha ha, or something like
Yeah.
that. And like the joke, so I treat them the same as they were still here in life.
Mhm.
You just treat
Yeah.
it with utmost respect. That's all.
Yep.
And just keep it real. That's it, because they know what your intentions are.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So do you believe in life after death? And if so, what do you think it looks like?
Absolutely believe in life after death. That's where we have reincarnation. But
I
for
agree.
those who do not reincarnate, for me, they've created, that's where people say there's a heaven. I think we've had this conversation before as far as heaven goes, and that's what your perspective is what do you want heaven to be? So that's how you're going to live in
Mhm.
that realm.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. Mama of an Angel said, I agree because their entertainment is very limited. It
Yep.
is.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And
Christina,
that's why I try to tell the locations and the people that run them, get to know me. I'm a fucking delight, But do I believe in life? Yeah. Do I believe in life after death? Well, that's tough because in a way, I want to say, yeah, reincarnation or heaven but then the reality is it's not your life anymore.
Right.
So is there really life after death for you? I mean, for example, if it's you basically drop all the emotion, all the memories, everything off with this body and it stays here. So everything else around it can stay connected while you as a spirit or a soul, you go on and you create something new. You're creating something entirely new.
Right.
So that's not really life after death. It's brand new. You're starting completely over. You don't
I-
remember this anymore. This isn't a part of you anymore. Maybe you remember bits and pieces, right? Like maybe you remember how to play the piano really good, or maybe you are a mathematician and you don't even know how you can do these things, or maybe you're a good linguist. Maybe you pick up memories, just fleeting memories from past lives and experiences, but you don't really remember it. There's not really life after the death of that life, right? It's something completely brand new. That's what I think.
Christina's son said to tell you the most haunted places
Her
her house on a crossover night. She has over 500 spirits in one little small apartment at one time.
Are they all trying to use the toilet? That's a long line.
Oh, go.
Sounds like she has a portal.
Yeah. The handle might be stuck. You gotta, yeah.
It just keeps flushing.
Everyday Treasure said, according to the Bible, you keep your memories.
However, that would make sense, but also according to the Bible, you go to heaven, right? So if you believe in reincarnation, then you don't necessarily go to heaven. Unless the body and the soul and the memories that you create, they get to go on to heaven, while you as a soul go on to create something new.
Greg, have a good night. Thank you for being here, sir.
See you, Greg.
Bye, Greg.
I mean, that's where the whole philosophical side of everything kind of comes into play. And those are the eternal questions of which we will probably never get answers to. But that's the fun part, guys.
That's true.
Is going through these and experiencing it, because there is no right or wrong answer right now. And that's the best part.
Have you guys ever helped spirits move on?
Yes.
Or closer to a haunted location?
Yep.
Well, I helped one move some furniture once.
That was your mother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I never have. Mary Lynn, I think you say you have.
Yes, I have. Whenever I go into locations, I try not, if it's like a big place that do this all the time, but there was one location, I'm not going to say where, but they have thousands of people that have passed there. And I was working with somebody else that came in with me, and we were in a group, but we ended up moving people on because they were begging to go. It was just, to me, it's like, if I can't leave them, I would not be able to rest knowing that they were not able to move on. But yes, I think that, for me, is also going to a cemetery, and I kept seeing this little boy beside this gravestone. So walked over, and it ended up being this little boy had been ran over by a truck. And it was his older brother who had backed out of the driveway, didn't know he was back there on his toy, and ran him over and killed him. But he was wanting to move on. He was looking for his mother. We got an EVP session on that, and is like, I want to go with mom. So ended up helping connect him with his mother and helping him move on. So just little things like that. I'm not going to do it unless I'm asked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. It's rude to do it, without any type of, asking the spirits and the property.
And I'm not going to force anybody, because you can force them out, but you're not forcing them to move on. You're just forcing them out of that location. So by doing that, where are they going to go? What havoc are they going to cause over here? So permission is always required as far as I'm concerned.
Mama Angel said reincarnation are those that made too many mistakes like her. And listen, God don't, if you believe in God, listen to this. God don't make mistakes. He makes masterpieces. So consider yourself a masterpiece.
And look, think of it like this. A masterpiece isn't painted in one stroke.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's not, and there's never just one color. And sometimes about halfway through that masterpiece, it looks like shit. But you just got to hang in there.
A different perspective of what that masterpiece is going to look like too. So
absolutely.
Change your brush out then.
Yep. Somebody taped a banana to a wall and sold it for like $2 million. You know what I mean? So Lord knows.
Christina son said, talk to a lot of spirits. They remember their life. a lot of them don't cross over so they could stay with their family. Then they cross over later
Yep.
via medium because they missed their time.
Yep.
Welcome back, Jason Finch. And then my last question for you is, what advice would you give someone interested in getting involved in the paranormal field?
Do it. Just go do it. Mike, you have a good what you say on that.
Yeah, so I would say get with your friends and enjoy the experience. Don't be afraid of it. Don't listen to what you see on TV. Zach Bagans tries to tell you that everything is scary and a demon and possession and
Right.
taking the ring to Mordor or whatever. It's not that way.
We don't listen to that shit.
You're more likely to find semen than a demon in a lot of these places. Okay, don't bring a black light. So go enjoy the experience, have fun. Doesn't mean that you need to be a dick about it, but just keep your mind open and enjoy the time and enjoy the location. Have something that you plan to do prior and have something that you plan to do after. Maybe you want to go have dinner before, you're going to go do some investigations, and then be ready to appreciate going to the bar and having a couple of drinks with your friends afterwards. Turn it into an event.
Michelle Wolford said they don't want to leave their family. She actually has some really good videos because of her place being I want to just say, I don't want to say haunted, but I guess I do want to. Maybe that's the word. But she has a lot of paranormal stuff that happens.
Yeah, and
Yeah, because if it's haunted, to me, that's almost like they're trying to cause problems. But if it's inhabited, that means that they're just there.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, come on, there's the world's billions of years old, right? Just about every place has had some type of spirit pass through it at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I just get so tired of people's misconception of everything being demonic and demonized. And it's not. You know how very, very rare that is, and very it's even rare to be possessed. Like it's very
hard
occurrence. You know what I'm saying? Most of those that you're getting that are aggressive and are just angry spirits who were angry and mean in life, and they passed away angry and mean in death. You know what I'm saying? Or they just
the way you run in life, you're going to be the same way in death, and that's just our belief.
Yep.
I feel like someone comes there with
Absolutely.
bad intents, you're going to get bad intents. You know what I'm saying? You come there with positive and respect, you're going to get that in return.
Right. If you come with good intentions, you're going to get back.
So,
good.
What if you died with herpes? Do you bring that with you too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
And you just pass on.
Spread the love.
Just spread the love. It will spread to you. You want to give.
Nothing's worse than ghost herpes, you know?
Keep that shit forever like luggage. Christina Sun said, well, I'll tell you unless I feel like I'm just not learning how to read. Well, I'll tell you unless you've had. God, I can't read. I'm sorry, I have cataracts in one eye. And if you've had the experience or if there's a reason like trying to get in touch with your loved one who passed, a lot of people who don't think about it and most don't want to. I think a lot of people are afraid of what they might see or hear.
It's very taboo. And you have to look at the death in society as a cultural movement has changed significantly, especially from like the Middle Ages, the Renaissance ages. During the Victorian ages, they would they would reuse the same coffin and they would show off the bodies and they would have fancy parties. And now we're at a point in society where you just don't talk about it. It's a scary thing. Death is a scary thing. And in fact, it's so scary that we have gone out of our way to create crazy pharmaceuticals that do way more damage than good just to try to keep us from getting to that state. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it sucks. My grandmother, she just passed away. And prior to doing that, she was terrified, man. Terrified of it. And I've worked for hospice and seen somebody that terrified of something that is there is no stopping, right?
Right.
It was heart-wrenching, right? To see that, because and what's crazy is towards the end, when she was in her hospital bed and she knew it was coming, she was like, I'm done. I get it now. There's nothing to be afraid of. I just want it to be over. I've reached the end. I just want to be done. Right. And I think had she had that type of mentality from the beginning, I mean, it would have saved her a lot of stress, right? If we didn't make it so taboo.
I agree with you on that. It would have saved a lot.
Mhm.
You have my condolences on your grandmother passing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anybody in the chat has anything else they would like to say to our guests before we close this out? Christina, of course, she has something. I think it's scary now more than before because society as a whole and life really sucks now. They say, you don't say.
Yeah.
They say it was harder back then, but they are happier.
They were harder, but they were
But they were
happier.
happier.
Yep.
And Everyday Treasure said, bro, given my personality, I have often questioned paranormal. There is nobody I wouldn't mess with relentlessly, some because it's funny and some because they deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all, I think we're all, and I think that's the thing. It's one of those things where it's excitement and trepidation to finally get to that point where you have to make that, where you have to cross over, right? To see
Right.
what's going to happen, right? Because there's all kinds of shenanigans and things I would love to do in the afterlife, but the reality is I don't know what I'm going to be able to or not be able to do. I don't know if they've got a different set of rules over there. Maybe they've got Social Security. I don't know.
Right.
So
And you're right.
yeah, I know. I don't know if I got to get in a line or take a number.
Yeah.
So that's that. But hey, that's why we do what we do.
And Janet Sarlo gives her condolences also.
Thank you.
And Dolls Dolly said that's why they are terrified. It's the fear of the unknown.
Always. But you've got to understand that we are the ones who create that unknown, right? We're the ones that decide to mystify it. So you can make it as accepting or as challenging as you choose. So just keep that in mind for when you have to look that finality in the eye, because we all are going to at some point.
Hello, Scott. Scott Ottman, thank you for so much coming.
Acknowledge me.
And,
What up, buddy?
Christina, one more time. She said, "Oh, sorry. Oh, she's sorry for your grandmother. Also, her grandmother is 96 and hanging on there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, that's. I thank y'all so much for coming in. You guys, what y'all got coming up pretty soon? Anything?
Marilyn?
Go ahead. We've got Gold Rush, but you go ahead.
Yeah, so I've my mundane job. About 2 to 3 weeks out of the year, I actually wash supercars, exotic cars for a rally called the Gold Rush Rally, and you can look that up, goldrushrally.com. And we will follow them this year. It changes every year, but this year it goes from Beverly Hills. It makes 9 stops all the way up to Chicago. And we will follow them every day as a new city, and we will follow them and rewash the vehicles at every single stop. We'll do 60 to 80 cars a night. Bam, 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 bam.
Wow.
Yes. And then after that, I've got Paranormal Rockdown. If you want to come see me, I will be at the Paranormal Rockdown in Wisconsin. I will be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash with Marilyn. Marilyn's does all this with me as well. Yeah, we will be there. We'll be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. We will start filming there as well. We've got about 3 to 4 episodes we're looking to film for Pair with the Normal in that general area. Then we've got October 4th. We have the Rock Island Roadhouse Paracon, which is in Rock Island, Illinois, which is great. That's a great location, a great spot. And we've got just a bunch of other stuff coming up too. We're gonna be real busy.
Yeah, we've got some projects. Some of them are confidential. We can't talk about them.
And they're massive, man. Massive. The stuff coming up is so huge.
So, when could they find you? Where can they find you? Of course, on YouTube and on Facebook, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. Go to
You
Pair
can
with the
find-
Normal.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Pair with the Normal. We're on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. You can find our personal accounts. Obviously, Michael Galliano, Mary Lynn Bast.
Mhm.
Also on streambeacontv.com or the Beacon TV app. It's good on your Roku. It's good on your Apple TV. And you can catch our show there, Pair with the Normal.
And you
Uh,
can also catch us on other shows too that's coming out. They're getting ready to start airing. We've been filming with a couple different people.
Yep.
oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good to hear.
So
Yes.
as
If
soon as
you're a
we get
fan of
those
the
things,
Haunted
we'll put them
Files,
out.
hang in there.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely am. Greg's Inferno had a question too. He asked, "Have you ever experienced getting in touch, or wait a minute?
Have you
Have you
experienced getting in touch
experienced
of
getting?"
one of your own family members in the past that has
That's a
passed?
good question. Have you ever contacted your own family members?
Or did they contact you after they passed?
So for me, I've had family members contact me. They come to me through my dreams because that's whenever I'm more open and not staying so busy all the time. So they have come to me and given me messages and just making sure that everything is good. So yes.
Yeah, and I know Maryland's helped me realize that I've had a few family members now and then that have come by and checked up on me
Mhm.
and whatnot. So yeah, definitely.
John Shelton, so glad to see you, sir. He's over in the UK.
Hey,
Acknowledge me.
So glad to see you, even though you came in late.
spotted dick.
So what I did, everybody in the chat, I put their link right there at the top there. So make sure you go by, check them out. I'm gonna edit down this video, and I'm gonna have the link in the description box on this here also. Please, warm thank you to Psychic Paranormal, Marilyn Bast, and Michael Gagliano. Thank you so much for being here. I want to say thank you to Scott Altman, Greg's Inferno, Christina's son, Michelle Wolfung. Who else am I missing here? I'm quite sure there's a few.
There's a bunch.
There's a bunch. Giles Dolly, Janet Sarlo, Little Patty, Jason Finch, Everyday Treasures, Christina. I said Christina's son. I'm just scrolling down the list here. Yvonne, Spirits Talker,
Mickey G.
Mickey G. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you guys to the world and back. You guys mean a lot. A huge shout out to all our fake Facebook paranormal groups. You know who you are. There's so many of you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody that's on TikTok. I really appreciate you for being here. But most importantly, we thank you for being here as well. We love you guys. And just remember, if you can't say anything nice to a person, please, by all means, don't say anything at all.
That's right.
With
And
that-
say hello to your kiddos for me.
and we will. And because what happened was, and the reason why they're not down here, Manny, of course, he goes to bed at a certain time. But Tony and Cody, there's a basketball game on.
Oh, very cool.
They're watching the Knicks game, and so
Awesome.
they go after each other.
Well, I love your kids, man. They're incredibly awesome.
They appreciate that, and believe me, Cody was here for a minute, and then he found out the game was on, and so he went to watch the game.
Nice.
And,
Yeah, I saw him pop in.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then the credits started rolling. And I seen Cody as he walked up the stairs. The credits started rolling. Cody as himself, you know. So I thank you guys so much for being here. You guys are amazing. Make sure you guys go by, check out their channel, Psydkicks Paranormal, like and subscribe, and tell them that Eddie and Jen sent you, especially when you watch them live, and let them know that you came from the live stream. They'll give you a shout out.
That's right. Yeah. You can go to the Psydkicks Paranormal, but we don't check that one very often anymore. Go right to the Para with the Normal. That's our most active one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys, everybody in the chat. Till next time, you guys, stay blessed. See you next